YouTube, what the crap's going on? Let's see if Bretonnian week has helped my rank at all. Probably not, because I haven't really played enough battles. It's coming up. Bretonnian week's going alright for me. I haven't played a lot of battles this week. I've probably only played 4 or 5. My problem with the leaderboard is that I would probably be higher on it. Not that it really matters, but I'd probably be higher on it if I actually played battles more often. I just really don't, because I don't have a ton of time outside of when I record for you. But I do my best while I'm recording. I have a battle for you here, and it's going to be against the Greenskins again. And I actually kind of like the army the Greenskin player picked here, and it gave me a little bit of trouble, so I think that you'll find this entertaining. I won't tell you what happens yet. I said it gave me trouble. I didn't say whether or not I win or lose. But let's take a look at it. So I'm bringing a slightly cav-heavier Bretonnian army, so I've got 4 units of cavalry on the ground, 2 Knights of the Realm on one flank, and I really invested pretty big in some Grail Knights over here. They're pretty good against the Greenskins, if you can keep them out of bad situations, because they have so much infantry killing power, like tons of infantry killing power. I've got 4 Spearmen at Arms in the center, 5 Spearmen at Arms, and then I've got 2 Peasant Bows, and then my flying goon squad is just Mr. Beaky here. Is that really how you say this? Someone says you say Beaky. I mean, if it's really Beaky, I'm gonna laugh. Then anyway, there's that, and even if it's not Beaky, I'm probably going to call him that now because it's kind of funny because of his metal-clad beak here, so we'll call him Beaky. I've got 2 Paladins as well. Anyway, you can see that the Greenskin player comes to town with 3 rock lobbers, which this is pretty cheap artillery, and if they get a hit on your cavalry, you better believe it's going to do some damage. Look back here, it did some huge damage. A couple hits on my Spearmen, already huge damage, so I don't disagree with the rock lobber pick. He's got a couple of Wolf Rider archers. These guys are fast and can pick away at targets. Not a bad choice. He's got Goblin Wolf Riders for running down my archers potentially. Also not a bad choice. He's got 1 unit of Boar Biggins, and he's got 6 units of Orc Biggins. And then he has for support, looks like 2 Goblin Big Bosses on Spider. Orc War Boss, as expected. He's not even riding on a boar. He's just on foot. And then he's got a Night Goblin Shaman. Not a bad pick at all, really, in my opinion. Doesn't have any, he doesn't have any missile infantry, but I mean, no one really brings him with the Greenskins. This mobile missile infantry, cavalry is better. And then his rock lobber pick, you can see, I mean, I've taken significant damage to the center of my formation here. I've lost archers, I've lost spearmen, I've lost cavalry. He's definitely making me attack. And I want to point something out here. You're going to see me attacking. So, and this isn't going to be perfect, but I'm starting to roll forward, and he starts to charge me. Now, a very key thing to remember with Bretonnian infantry is that they have charge defense against all. You really need to brace your infantry at all possible, and if you get forced into attack, it's probably going to end poorly for you. Now, he's going to have these archers, which theoretically could be good against flying units, but against a regenerating Leoncoeur and healing potion paladins, can they be useful? Yes. Will they be quick and decisive? No. So you're going to see me actually pull back to a bracing position real quick with all my spears. I'm going to stop them running and brace for the Greenskin charge because I can negate that charge as long as I'm braced. I'm going to go ahead and start firing at some of his Wolf Rider archers. I bring my Paladin in. I engage his Goblin Wolf Riders and his boss over here. This was definitely not a smart engagement. He should have avoided that engagement and tried to get to my archers, though I had flying units to help. So I'm going to use Leoncoeur and quickly knock these guys out. I'm going to use the Lady. I debuffed all the orcs here. And then for some reason for the rest of this battle, my my hit point, or my magic points never replenished. So I used this one spell, and then I didn't have enough magic to do anything else for the rest of the battle. So I don't know if maybe the Night Goblin Shaman had the thing where they can decrease. No, I mean, Itchy Nuisance is in here, which is good for him. But yeah, I don't know what was going on. Look at this Grail Knight charge into the back of these Orc Biggins. These guys are going to get waylaid. And then over here, I'm going to go ahead and head into this rock lobber, take it out of commission. But yeah, my Grail Knights over here start racking up kills at a phenomenal rate. Over here, the Goblin Big Bosses are helpful, and he gets over here and he does a little bit of damage to Leoncoeur, but Leoncoeur does huge damage as well. And so I'm in good shape, and he regenerates. I'm going to use a Wind Blast. Okay, so I did have a little bit of magic left. It was a decent Wind Blast. It wasn't great. I could have been lined up a little bit better. If I would have lined it up right across here, it would have been a lot more effective. But use the Wind Blast. I don't know that it did a whole lot. 2 kills on the lady. It did a little bit of damage to these biggins, so wasn't all bad. My Knights of the Realm are getting chewed up, but I needed them to hold this infantry down while I cycled with the Paladin and King Leon Kerr. You can see his Wolf Rider archers firing away, which is fine, but back here I've got a bit of a goon squad on his war boss. I forced him into combat. I've got 2 Grail Knights, which the war boss is going to struggle against, as well as a Paladin. And I'm using Leon Kerr. He causes fear in enemy units, and I'm using him to rear charge as much as possible. It's not working every time, but I am getting some chain routes going on. You can see that initially, the Greenskin's getting a pretty good engagement of this. I don't have a ton of units left, but if you look at the power bar is still very much even, and that's because the tools that he has left to get rid of Leon Kerr are limited. His Orc Biggins, or Boar Biggins, are no longer present on the battlefield. His archers are running lower on ammunition. And his Biggins, although they're good versus large, if they get held by something and then hammered by Leon Kerr, they're going to rout almost every time. And I killed the Orc War Boss, so now you can see that edging in my favor here. So, I mean, it was a pretty nasty engagement for me. He wrecked my infantry line, he killed my archers. A lot of my cavalry is dead, but not all of it. And the cavalry that's not dead is my Grail Knights. And you can see that they're racking up kills. They're going to get a lot of kills. And then when Leon Kerr comes in here, just watch the leadership just absolutely collapse on the Biggins. And that's the idea. So I'm just going to use Leon Kerr to support the Grail Knights. I'm going to ignore his Wolf Archers. They're just not causing enough damage to my men to make me worried about it. So I'm just going to keep charging with the Grail Knights. Just keep pounding on through. Sneaky stabbing coming in for the Greenskins, but it's not going to matter because I'm going to break their leadership here with Leon Kerr. You can see him plowing through this unit. The attacks of the Grail Knights combined with Leon Kerr is just savage on the leadership of Greenskin units. See here, 103 kills on that Grail Knight, not bad. It is a close battle. He got rid of the 1 Grail Knight, but the fact that my Paladin's still here, and then again, the Paladin did good, but here comes Leon Kerr. He's going to squish the Spider. So the Goblin, now what I'm doing is I'm focusing out the Goblin, or the Orc leader units. So back here, I'm going to come support my Paladin with a charge from these Grail Knights. It's going to be very effective. So those units are all in trouble and they start routing. Again, remember the fear effect from Leon Kerr. So now that means the last leader that's helping the Orc morale and the power bar is this Night Goblin Shaman. So I just focus him down. So although I was losing the infantry engagement, I was spending some time getting rid of Goblin Big Bosses and the Orc War Boss. And again, the Greenskins absolutely rely on those units. I don't disagree necessarily with the pick that my opponent brought here. You can see it gave me quite a bit of trouble. I think what he should have done was, instead of being so willing to charge at me and go after my infantry and stuff, I almost feel like he should have played a little more defensively. He had a huge ranged advantage with the 3 rock lobbers. I almost feel like he kind of should have boxed up a little bit. Keep those Boar Biggins right next to your Lord, and then keep the Goblin Big Bosses right there as well. And keep your guys in a defensive formation. My Knights would have to try and break it. They can be harassed by your archers. Your Wolf Riders should have split up all over the place. I can't catch them with heavy cavalry. And if they split up, it's going to make me keep some of my Knights honest in order to keep your Wolf Riders away from my archers. I feel like he could have used those rock lobbers to much greater effect versus me and potentially switch this battle the other way. He did give me a tough fight, but in the end, racking up 200 and some odd kills on Grail Knights. And then Leon Kerr, only 37 kills, but he was responsible, at least in part, for the death of the Orc War Boss, and probably both of the Goblin Big Bosses as well in the end as the Night Goblin Shaman. Leon Kerr is he's a monster. He's a man riding on a monster, but the two of them put together is a monster. And I don't mean that in the literal sense. I mean, like, figuratively speaking, he's very difficult to kill. You have to use the right combination of things to get him. And I still say that with the Greenskins, that's a combination of poison, large units like the Orc Boar Biggins, and then combine that with the foot units, and you have to swamp him in. You have to have the poison attacks to keep him swamped down there. The challenge that you're going to run into is that if they have fast-moving units, like my cavalry this time, in those few instances where Leon Kerr got swamped, I was able to do a rear charge with some Knights of the Realm or some Grail Knights, and it freed him up. So that's what you have to be careful of. I mean, you almost have to get him singled out on his own, and that's why I'm saying that I think the Greenskins should have played a little more defensively. He got a lot of good kills with these rock lobbers. Imagine if they would have gone longer. I don't know how much ammo they had, but they could have potentially gone longer. His Orc Boar Boys, oh, I thought this was a Boar Biggin. Yeah, this unit was basically worthless versus Bretonnia. He needed a boar biggin. Definitely cut one of the wolf riders and get a boar biggin. It would have been worth it. I like the wolf riders for going after my archers, but I think his goblin wolf rider archers almost could play that role to some extent. But I mean, still, it's not a bad pick. Just I think it's the way he used it here. What do you all think? Do you think he could have used this build to win? Personally, I do. I don't think it was a bad build at all. The rock lobbers, I mean, can do potentially serious damage to most of my units, force me to come attack, and then let him blob up on me, hopefully. The biggest challenge he was going to have here is pinning down 4 heavy cavalry units, which is easier said than done as the greenskins, unless you have plenty of boar biggins yourself. But of course, the boar biggins are also required to try and keep Leoncoeur and the paladins pinned, so it's not easy. I'm just saying that's kind of the one way you have to go about it. Anyway, like I said, tell me what you think. Hope you enjoyed this battle. I know I did. Hope to be bringing you more. Hope you're enjoying Bretonnia week. I'm having fun with it. Bretonnia is a pretty decent faction, all things considered, and I'm finding them to be fairly effective against most factions if played right. They're certainly not a guaranteed win, but they certainly seem to have the capability of standing toe-to-toe with most factions as long as you know how to use them, and unless your opponent does a really good job counterpicking you. I think a lot of people really struggle with how to kill the goon squad. The flying goon squad, is I call them just the goon squad. I think one of the best ways to do it, I'll give you this little hint here, and I'll probably run on to someone who listens to this and then they kill me, or just someone who knows what they're doing. But if I were going to try and kill the goon squad, I would take the Empire. And I think the Empire has some very specific tools to help them do this. I would go with the General of the Empire, because he's pretty affordable, and he has a healing potion. Put him on his Griffin. You can throw a Blood Roar in there. It doesn't hurt. Boy, that's a good one. I would keep that. I don't think any of these two are probably necessary. You could keep them if you want, but you could save a little money by cutting them too. Probably go with Potion of Toughness, and probably add the Potion of Foolhardiness as well. You definitely want a Light Wizard. This is going to be the key to this. Put him on an Imperial Pegasus. You can save money if you want, dump some of that stuff, but mostly if you just come in here and dump these useless spells like Banishment, Light of Battle. I mean, most of this, I don't even think you'd need Shim's Burning Gaze. I would bring it as a just in case. And then I would maybe, I wouldn't go with the Amber Wizard. It's pretty expensive. I mean, you could, but definitely just get like a couple of Empire Captains here. Throw these boys up on a mount. I don't think they'll need this extra charge defense because they're going to be near the Empire, the General of the Empire who already has it. So, I mean, if you think I'm wrong, obviously you can change that, but you could save some money by dropping that. Again, just potion these guys up, and you get a pretty good unit for the price. So I've got a bit of a flying good squad of my own, and I've got this Light Wizard. Now, Bretonnia brings infantry that has charge defense against all, so you don't want to worry about high charge infantry. Stuff like these swordsmen, these spearmen with shields, these are good infantry to help fight against Bretonnia. Something like this will be fine. They're not high charge units, they do decent in melee. And then you do have to consider, what if Bretonnia brings cavalry on the ground? They very well could. A couple of Empire Knights can help against that. You have a lot of options here. I think that you could bring something like a cannon if you want. You don't necessarily have to bring a cannon. We've seen that a steam tank could potentially be useful. I like the pick of the 2 Empire Knights. This gives you a little bit of fighting power on the ground. You can try and support them with your spearmen. If you want to make sure that the Bretonnia can't just charge your swordsmen, which is a very real possibility, and you want to save a little money, you could always just throw in some of these cheap spearmen, so that now I have nothing but spearmen, so Bretonnia doesn't really have a lot of great targets to charge. The Net of Amantok is the key to this, though. You pin Leoncoeur and his goons with the Net of Amantok, and preferably you keep them close to something like these 2 handgunners, and then you seal the deal like that. So you have a bit of a flying squad of your own, a little bit of protection on the ground, plenty of infantry to give them trouble, and you got these 2 handgunners here. And like I said, if you really want to force Bretonnia into range, you could bring a unit of artillery, or you could just go with something else here to harass Bretonnia a little bit. You still have quite a bit of money left. You could always throw in like a Knights of the Blazing Sun or a Reichsguard. With a little bit of money saved, you could throw in a Demigryph Knight with a halberd if you felt like it, or you could bring that money and you could throw in an Amber Wizard and really ante up in the sky by being able to raise up a Manticore as well. So then again, you use this Light Wizard, Net of Amantok. Bretonnian units get stuck. You use it at a point when your handgunners support. You attack them while they're stuck in the net, you shoot the crap out of them, or you can use the net to pin Bretonnian cavalry and shoot the crap out of it. The more times you use the net during the battle, the better, but I think the net of Amantok would be one of the biggest banes of Bretonnia because they can hold them still. It's also really good against the vampires if you're trying to get rid of like a Mortis engine or something like that. And that's one of the reasons why the Empire is so good. This net of Amantok is a pretty elite spell. It's very useful, and it can stop a lot of enemies exactly where you want them and when you want them, and it's a very, very handy tool, and that's, again, the Light Wizard's one of the reasons why the Empire is so dangerous. Definitely one of the key reasons. So anyway, just my 2 thoughts. If you think I'm wrong, feel free to disagree. Hey, I appreciate you all. I've been getting a ton of views and a ton of comments. I've been really busy, and I haven't gotten to respond to all the comments the last couple of days. I do apologize. I will do my best to get to them, but I really appreciate the support. You all are amazing, and it's really fun to make these videos every day for such an awesome audience, and to get to, I mean, it's actually kind of exciting for me every day to like come out and be like, hey, I wonder what kind of cool comments I got from people or cool ideas, and this is really what I want. It's an awesome community for the multiplayer piece of Total War, and like I said, just really appreciate those of you who watch. If you're subscribed, if you're commenting, you're liking, just showing up. I appreciate it. Very, very honored, very flattered to have you all with me. Appreciate MSI for sponsoring the build that I'm recording this with, and I hope to see you all back on another video soon.